Thank you for listening to the Bayyina Institute podcast. Please join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Bayyina Institute, or you can join our email list at http://bayyina.com and share these recordings with your family and friends.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واذكروا الله في أيام معدودات فمن تعجل في يومين فلا إثم عليه ومن تأخر فلا إثم عليه لمن اتقى واتقوا الله واعلموا أنكم إليه تحشرون رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي فالحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ثم ما بعد. We're at ayah number 203 in Al Baqarah, and this is the last ayah on the passage of Hajj. وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَاتٍ. Make mention of Allah in the limited number of days. Meaning, actually, a little bit of history about this. The mushrikun also, as I told you before, performed Hajj. And when they did, they had obviously different religions, not just different schools of thought. And they all had some form of Hajj in it. Some of them believed you should stay after the manasik are performed, you should stay 2 days. Some believed you should say 3 days, 11, 12, 13. Some believed, 11, 12. And they would disagree with each other. And some would say it's a sin to stay the 13th day. Some would say it's a sin to not stay the 13th day. And they would argue with each other about it, etc. This ayah, on the one hand, deals with that issue. Because, of course, Sahaba, all they knew of Hajj before the ayat came down are the previous traditions of Hajj and the previous form of the Hajj. But the other beautiful thing here is, it's the concluding comments on Hajj. And in the concluding comments, it's kind of you're leaving Hajj, it's the farewell address almost, and the last thing you're going to do when you're going to be doing dhikr and the jamarat. And at that moment, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ. Just remember Allah. Remember Allah. As though we're learning the point of Hajj, at the end of it all, now you're about to go home, have a really strong couple of days of dhikr, remembering Allah, because that'll carry forward for the rest of your life. You're not going to have an opportunity like this one again. And if you take the take-home lesson from Hajj is remembering Allah. It's like that. So وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَاتٍ. In these limited days, just remember Allah as much as possible. فَمَنْ تَعَجَّلَ فِي يَوْمَيْنِ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. So Allah, takes care of that problem. Whoever is going to rush in 2 days, just finish 2 days of the extra dhikr and then leave, فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. No harm comes on him. There's no sin on him. وَمَنْ تَأَخَّرَ. And whoever delayed, meaning stayed a 3rd day, فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ لِمَنِ اتَّقَى. Then there's no harm on him either for the one who had taqwa. Now why add even for the one who had taqwa? Obviously people are making Hajj, it's an act of taqwa to begin with. Well, you're exhausted, you just finished all the manasik of Hajj and now you're sitting kind of relaxed. And somebody can get anxious and they just want to leave. If you're going to start losing your temper and you're going to just start getting nasty with other people and you're going to become like that, then it's better that you just leave in 2 days. If you ran out of juice, just go in 2 days. It's better for you because you're not going to be able to maintain your taqwa. So the one who can maintain their taqwa and they can maintain their cautiousness and remain vigilant, and that's actually a very powerful psychological phenomenon too. When we finish an important task, our muscles get loose. Like you hold on and you hold on, you give your best and you give your best, and the moment the project is done, you just fall apart. You say, I can't do anything now. Mentally, and then even physically, you just fall apart. And seconds before that, when you were still in the middle of the task, you had all the energy in the world. So you become loose once you see that victory has come. Actually, in this kind of, this phenomena, we'll see on the battlefield too, when we study about Uhud one day. When we learn about Uhud, when some Sahaba realized or thought victory has already come, then you just get loose. And actually, one of the meanings of fashila in Arabic, not just to fail, but to get loose. It's okay now. I don't have to be vigilant anymore. But taqwa is an act of vigilance. You have to be on guard. So Allah says, whoever's going to remain vigilant, they can stay extra. They should, fulfill as much as they can. And of course, in it also there's a hint that the staying the extra day is better. It's better for those who can afford to do so and who have the energy and have the vigilance to do so. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ. And maintain the taqwa of Allah, and you had better know, you should realize that you are all going to be herded towards Him eventually. You'll all be gathered towards Him. Now, it's incredible that when we come to Hajj, we come voluntarily. We come voluntarily. Hashr in Arabic is gathering animals, actually, originally. Animals are never gathered voluntarily. So there's two words. There's, tujma'un, you'll be gathered, and tuhsharun. And tuhshar is actually more violent. Hashar is herding, like literally when you're herding sheep and you're herding, goats and things like that. And out of fear or the noise that the herder makes, they rush and they gather towards one place. So it's as though we're being reminded at the end of the occasion of Hajj, we came here voluntarily, but there's a day coming when we will be coming back here non-voluntarily. وَعْلَمُوا أَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ. You're going to be coming back. And when you come back, it won't be voluntary, you'll be brought here. And you'll be herded here. SubhanAllah. A very powerful reminder at the end as one is leaving from Hajj. Because of these ayat, also many ulama had just a lot of very beautiful insights about the spirit of Hajj, about the greater wisdom of Hajj. If somebody comes back from Hajj and they, just like you come back from any project, you're like, I don't want to look at the office right now. I don't want to deal with that anymore. I'm done. I need some extra time. I just finished this major project. You can't have that attitude towards Allah and His deen. Actually, you should come back stronger in your dhikr to Allah. More powerful in your dhikr to Allah. And a subtle danger was mentioned, especially by Mufti Muhammad Shafi' rahimahullah, in Ma'arif al-Quran. I thought it was very beautiful. He said that, there are some people who go to Hajj, and of course the promise of an accepted Hajj, the rewards of that are that we get a fresh start. The sins are wiped out and we get a fresh start. And on top of that, there's the social phenomenon. The social phenomenon is people around you are constantly congratulating you. They're making dua for you. They're very proud of you that you finished your Hajj, etc. Party after party after party you're being invited to. And there's a celebration of the Hujjaj, etc. Which is all beautiful. But it can create a problem too in the heart of a person, the one who went and made Hajj. Well, now I have a fresh start. New lease. New lease. If you lose a lot of weight, right, then, and you see like a cake or some soda or something, you're like, it's not going to hurt that much. I just lost like 50 pounds. What's this going to do? Add 60 pounds on in one meal? It's okay. So your guard goes down. Because I'm doing pretty good right now. My sin counter is back to 0. So I can afford to, just a little bit. I mean, it's not that bad. After all, I just did Hajj. So even if I do bad, it's not going to be that bad. So the whole point of being vigilant is not just those few days of dhikr. That parting advice is now don't become loose. Now stay on point. And the people that are able to maintain a careful attitude towards sin, watching out, and not feeling that they're safe, they're the ones whose Hajj actually has the barakah in it. So there's two views, and we have to understand those two views. From the point of view of fiqh, and sharia, and qawa'id, there are certain outwardly manasik, there are rituals we have to perform for our Hajj to be acceptable. If you miss a certain act of worship, you fail to leave from one place to another place, your ihram got, you removed it, or you cut your hair too early, or whatever. There's some violations you make, and your Hajj legally didn't count. Just like salat. You started making salat without wudu, there's a problem. You said salam, in Maghrib after 2 rak'at, there's a problem. There are some actual quantitative problems that you have to take care of. But then there's the spiritual problem. The spiritual problem, where was the heart when we were listening to Quran being recited in salat? Was our heart making sajda when our forehead was making sajda? That's a different problem. That's not a quantitative problem, that's a qualitative problem. And the qualitative problem is something that we will be asked about also. Legally speaking, I had wudu, I was facing the right direction, I was in the masjid, my clothes were clean, I fulfilled all the legal requirements of prayer. But there are spiritual requirements also. Hajj is a really big example of that. Legally, you can fulfill all the requirements while possibly not fulfilling any of the spiritual requirements. Not fulfilling any of them. And look, at the end of the Hajj, which requirements does Allah Azza wa Jal mention? The point of this exercise. وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ وَاتَّقُوا وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ. There's a spiritual awakening inside a person. Their attitude is different now. The way they think about, their life and what it's worth has changed. You've just spent 10 days with no luxuries. You spent 10 days with no change of clothes. You spent 10 days without, grooming yourself the way you're used to grooming yourself. You spent 10 days in, sleeping in uncomfortable settings. You spent a good part of your life just completely devoid of dunya. And the only thing you see around you is other people doing the same exact thing. As though their dunya is finished. All they have left is Allah, that's it. That training exercise, what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to remove the obsession of worldly things from our hearts a little bit, and increase in us an awareness, an ability to appreciate that void can be filled, that discomfort can be filled with the dhikr of Allah. The people who are uncomfortable at Hajj are also feeling incredible. The spiritual, the physical, material void is filled with spiritual, Recently in the news I was listening, or there was a documentary type thing, where this guy decided he's going to travel around the world with no baggage, nothing. He goes on a 3-month trip around the world with he has a vest, it's got pockets in it. He just has toothbrush, toothpaste, a spare t-shirt or something like that. And he went around the world and he made some record or whatever. And they're asking him his thoughts and stuff. And he goes, when I came back, I was a little depressed when I looked at all my stuff. I was like, why do I need all this stuff for? Right? And this is not someone who believes in the akhirah. This guy's all dunya. And he goes, I decided to cut down on my wardrobe and I got rid of some extra furniture and I've decided to live a more minimal life because I realized I put too much emphasis on stuff around me, these things around me that are taking away from my life experience. That's something even a non-believer realizes. Even a non-believer realizes I'm too obsessed with stuff, too obsessed with things around me. What's one thing that Hajj does for us? Is it removes from us the obsession with things, and it instills in us the idea that we can survive without those things. And the real important thing in life is the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَةٍ. And by the way, in normal society, you know how you can tell the difference between the wealthy and the poor? The real, easy difference. You don't have to study sociology for this. You can just look at how they're dressed. Somebody's dressed really formally, then you can tell this is an important person. Somebody's dressed in rags, you can tell this guy is homeless, this guy doesn't have a job, this guy's a college student or whatever. Right? You could tell. You can't tell anybody's social status at Hajj. You can't. Why? They're all dressed exactly the